Rome loved to pretend its gladiators were loyal entertainers, icons of courage, honor, and obedience. But that's the version written by emperors, not the truth. Because behind the gates of the ludi, gladiator schools, behind the cheers of the arena, behind the polished marble of Rome, there were revolts, forbidden uprisings, secret rebellions Rome tried to erase from history itself. Tonight, we're opening the doors Rome kept locked, and we're stepping into the rebellions that almost burned the empire down from within. In the heart of nearly every Roman city stood a fortress. Not a prison, but not far from one. A gladiator school. Inside lived hundreds of men, some volunteers desperate for fame, others criminals, many enslaved captives taken from wars Rome didn't want you to remember. Each day they woke before dawn, trained until bones cracked, ate controlled portions, lived under constant surveillance. Weapons were locked away, doors reinforced, punishments brutal. The trainers, the lanistae, ruled with iron fists. Many gladiators developed a belief, whispered from cell to cell: fight well or die trying. But a smaller group whispered something far more dangerous: fight together, and we don't die at all. These weren't just fighters, they were powder kegs, and Rome was holding the match. Rome's scribes didn't want to record gladiator uprisings. It was embarrassing. It made the empire look weak. But fragments survive, little cracks in the marble facade. The earliest rebellion we know of happened in Capua, decades before the famous Spartacus revolt. A group of gladiators rose up during training, not to run, not to escape, but to kill their lanista, a man infamous for torture and starvation. They took control of the armory, barricaded themselves inside. For nearly 2 days, the school was theirs. Rome called it a disturbance, but eyewitness letters, rare and faded, call it something else: the day the arena stopped. Though Rome crushed the uprising, something had been born that day. The idea that gladiators didn't have to accept their chains. You've heard the name, but not the version Rome wanted erased. Spartacus wasn't just a runaway slave. He was part of a secret network, a circle of fighters who had been planning rebellion for months. It began in the ludus of Capua, with 200 gladiators, gathering stolen kitchen knives, wooden practice swords, even table legs sharpened into spears. Their plan was simple: wait until the guards grew complacent, strike without warning. Rome almost contained the uprising until 70 fighters broke through the gates with nothing but cooking tools and rage. Those 70 became an army. That army humbled the Roman legions. And for 2 years, Rome feared its own gladiators. The empire would spend centuries trying to minimize or distort the story. But the truth is simple. A rebellion born in a gladiator school nearly broke the greatest empire on earth. Spartacus is famous, but he wasn't alone. There were 3 more suppressed uprisings, almost completely hidden from the historical record. 1. The Sicilian Revolt, unknown date. A group of Thracian gladiators refused to fight, not out of cowardice, but as a coordinated protest against starvation rations. When guards tried to force them into the arena, they retaliated. 5 dead guards later, the province was in panic. Rome flooded the region with troops, wiped them all out. No official Roman historian recorded the event. 2. The Pompeii Blood Night. Archaeologists found evidence of a gladiator school where dozens of fighters were killed at once. No battle, no war, no training accident. Marks on the wall suggest a nighttime uprising. One Rome silenced violently. Every fighter executed. The school shut down. Records destroyed. 3. The African Rebellion. In North Africa, Numidian gladiators led a revolt not to escape, but to free younger trainees being beaten by overseers. The rebellion lasted only hours. but its consequences were brutal. Executions for many, damnio ad bestias, death by wild beasts, for others. Rome erased these stories because they showed the truth. Gladiators weren't spectacles. They were a threat. Rome couldn't tolerate the idea of rebels inside its own entertainment machine. The arena was supposed to prove Rome's power, not expose its weakness. So the empire rewrote history. Gladiators were described as honorable athletes. Their rebellions were dismissed as criminal outbursts. Their motives mocked as animalistic. But the truth survived in letters, graffiti, and foreign accounts. They rebelled because they believed they deserved freedom. They rebelled because Rome trained them to fight and then expected them not to. They rebelled because they realized something Rome feared above all. A gladiator alone can entertain. Gladiators together can destroy. Rome wanted the world to forget these rebellions. But every time a gladiator stepped into the arena, every time the crowd roared, every time the empire applauded violence, they also applauded men who were capable of ending it all. Behind every helmet was a story, a man fighting not just lions or opponents, but an entire empire trying to silence him. So the next time you imagine a gladiator standing in the arena, don't picture a willing performer. Picture someone Rome feared, someone Rome tried to erase, someone whose rebellion still echoes through history, because the gladiators were never just fighters. They were Rome's forbidden revolutionaries.